Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television, having challenges there with the network. But we've got Mr. Onyekpere back in the studio with us, and we're still talking about being more transparent. Thank you so much, Mr. Onyekpere, for sticking around. Well, it seems to be one of those days when the network just decides to have a mind of its own. But Krista is back in the studio with me. Hopefully before the end of the program, we can reconnect with Mr. Onyekpere. Christy, let's talk a little bit about the commodities market now. And the ruling party, the APC, is asking the president to scrap the petroleum industry bill. That's one of the biggest stories for the industry.
Nobody saw that coming. I mean, this controversial petroleum industry bill has been in the talks now for more than 6 years, 8 years. And then all the talks, even I had an interview with the vice president when he was vice president-elect, Yemi Osinbajo, and then he said, when we get in, we're going to try to sort out all the issues surrounding the petroleum industry bill. So not at any point did I or even industry analysts suggest that they saw it coming that the APC would turn around to call for the petroleum industry bill to be struck out. But here is what they are saying specifically. Scrap this first draft that we have and then go ahead and talk with the IOCs, who, of course, have been at the middle of the controversy, causing the delay in the first place. Let's give you details now. Nigeria's oil and gas sector has, despite the hazard conditions, stayed at its 208% return, but the year to date, that sector has lost 7%. Price to earnings is at 8.6%, and dividend yields are at 3.1%.
Well, Christy, I'm going to let you continue to talk those numbers. I've got Mr. Eze Onyekpere back with me now in the studio for us to quickly finish the conversation that we've been having or been trying to have in the last couple of minutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Onyekpere, for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, just before we had the network issues, we were talking about, well, you mentioned transparency. And so we're talking about systemic change and opening up and being, for this governors to open up and be more transparent. For some, they have websites. Some others do not frequently update these websites. And so what I'm asking is that, should these websites now begin to give financial breakdown of how funds are spent and not just how many projects are being commissioned at a time?
Yes, well, we expect not just even the transparency aspect of it alone, that at the beginning of the year, that people should be able to participate in deciding priorities in the budget. And thereafter, do the quarterly budget implementation reports, as happened at the federal level, although the federal level has fallen into arrears. Every quarter, they should give the report of how much they've gotten and what exactly they spent. We also expect more transparency in terms of accounts being audited on time and being made available to the public. The budget should be there on the website. There should be print copies for any person who is interested in getting a copy, so that at the end of the day, it is no longer a process only known between the governor and the House of Assembly and the few technocrats.
So what sort of partnership do you think should exist between the states and the federal government?
Well, between the state and the federal government, I expect exchange of ideas on what has worked and what has not worked, so that where you have best practices that have emerged, those at the other tier of government can copy from that and be able to improve on what exactly they can do at their own tier of government.
Well, do you see the federal government, or do you think the federal government has a balance sheet now that can accommodate state government requests, which is one of the issues that I know was, discussed at the inauguration of the council? Do you think the federal government has a balance sheet, position that can accommodate, yes, state government, yes, for their bailout requests, or even refund the projects?
I think that is setting a very dangerous precedent, because we have a situation where money is shared at the federation account. Each tier of government gets its own money. The states, apart from the state government money, they also get the money of the local governments, and in most instances, it is mismanaged. So I think that will be rewarding fiscal rascality and fiscal irresponsibility if the federal government should bail them out. What should happen is that they should go back. It's going to be a rather exercise. I'm not saying that anybody who has worked is not entitled to his pay. Let them just review what they've done over the years, cut out the excess fat. And I think they should be able to pay salaries from their internally generated revenue. Any state that is unable to pay salaries from their IGR means that the reason the terror of being a state in the first place doesn't exist. What money comes from the Federation account from oil revenue should be channeled towards capital expenditure and human development rather than the wasteful consumption of paying salaries and personal expenses. So every state should be able to go back and think through what it has done over the years, think through whether it has a bloated wage bill, think through if there are ghost workers, think through the money that has been mismanaged by the governors, and now say never again, and from now on we'll be more fiscally prudent.
Mr. Eze Onyekpere, thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning and sharing your perspectives with us. Well, we'll take a quick break now on the program, and when we come back, Christy will continue to give us an update on what's happening in Nigeria's energy market. Please stay with us.